I'm going to tell the story of a boy called Peter Pan, who never ever wanted to grow up to be a man. He had the best adventures and he fought some wicked foes. So quickly, turn the page to find out how the story goes. Our tale begins in London, in a house on Bloomsbury Street. Inside there lived a family, the nicest you could meet. The lovely Mrs. Darling was as sweet as raspberry pie, and Mr. Darling worked to keep his family warm and dry. They had a dog called Nana, who was always kind and good. She loved the Darlings faithfully, as only a dog could. Upstairs, 3 darling children were all tucked up in their beds, waiting for their mother's kiss upon their sleepy heads. That evening, Mrs. Darling read a lovely bedtime story. Soon, Wendy, John, and Michael were all fast asleep and snoring. But someone else was listening from the window ledge outside, when whoosh, the cold wind picked him up and tumbled him inside. Poor Mrs. Darling gasped, and then she stared in disbelief. But Peter Pan, for it was he, just scowled and gnashed his teeth. A tiny light danced round his head, but Nana gave a bark and chased the strange intruder back outside into the dark. But oh, a ragged shadow, look, left crumpled on the floor. Kind Mrs. Darling scooped it up and tucked it in a drawer. A grave mistake she never would have made if she had known that Peter Pan would come back when the children were alone. One fateful Friday evening, Wendy woke. "Who's there?" she said. Young Peter Pan was sobbing by the bottom of her bed. "I need to stick my shadow on, but can't find any glue." "Don't cry, be brave," said Wendy. "I'll just sew it on for you." Well, Peter puffed up proudly. "Oh, I never ever cry. I made that stifling noise 'cause I had something in my eye." But Wendy smiled a secret smile, then sewed the shadow on. "Now, where's your mother, Peter? She'll be worried that you've gone." "Oh, I don't have a mother. I don't want one," Peter said. "Mine said I'd have to grow up, so I ran away instead." "Well, kiss me to say thank you." Wendy smiled, her cheeks aglow. "A kiss? What's that?" asked Peter. He really didn't know. So Wendy found her thimble, saying, "Here's a kiss from me." She offered it to Peter, who was baffled as can be. Poor Peter looked quite serious. "And here's my kiss," he blushed. He slowly held his hand out, for a kiss cannot be rushed. So Wendy took the little kiss and hung it near her heart. "I'll use it to remember you whenever we are apart." They didn't know that Peter's kiss would later save her life. Though it was just a button he had once carved with his knife. "Oh, ouch!" cried Wendy suddenly. "Hey, something pulled my hair." She spied a tiny twinkling light zigzagging through the air. "It's only Tink," laughed Peter. Wendy gasped. "Oh, she's so sweet." But Tinkerbell, the fairy, crossed her arms and stamped her feet. "Come home with us to Neverland," begged Peter. "Wake your brothers. My friends, the Lost Boys, need you. They're so sad without their mothers. You'll tell exciting stories, and you'll tuck them in at night. You'll give them all their medicine and scold them when they fight." "But how are we to get there?" Wendy said. "We can't just fly." "Oh, flying's easy," Peter scoffed. "Just point towards the sky and think of lovely happy thoughts. Then round the room you'll soar." The children tried, but bump, 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 they fell back to the floor. That naughty Peter laughed and laughed. "You are such silly things. You'll need some magic first," he smiled, "unless you grow some wings." He blew some magic fairy dust around the children's heads. "Hooray!" cried Michael. "Look at us! We're floating off our beds." "Away! Away to Neverland!" cried Peter. "Follow me." To Neverland, where mermaids sing and pirates roam the sea. Downstairs, brave Nana broke her chain and ran to fetch her master. "He's come to steal the children," Nana barked. "Quick, quick, run faster." Too late, the darlings came, both crying in dismay. The nursery was empty. Oh, their birds had flown away. They'd slipped out through the window, quite ignoring Nana's warning. "Second to the right," they cried. "Then straight on until morning." Past towns and fields and mountain tops, the happy children flew. For 3 or 4 or 7 nights, how long they hardly knew. But they could never go to sleep, or down and down they'd fall, and plunge into the foamy sea, where sharks would eat them all. "Land ho!" cried Peter Pan at last. Far down beneath the gloom, 1,000 pink flamingos flapped upon a green lagoon. But from the reeds some pirates spotted Tinker Bell's bright light and fired their biggest cannon, boo, straight up into the night. John shouted, "Have they wounded us?" The boys cried, "No, we're well." But Wendy had gone missing. She had followed Tinker Bell. This was a foolish thing to do, as very soon you'll see. That naughty little fairy was as jealous as can be. They looked down on the island as they hovered in the air. The lost boys were emerging from their secret woodland lair. "There's Toodles," Peter pointed, "and there's Nibs and Slightly too. There's Curly and the twins, although I don't know which is who." "They're looking out for you," said John. "They know you're coming home." But who was that behind them? The lost boys were not alone. "It's Captain Hook," grinned Peter, "with his fearsome pirate crew." "They're going to catch the lost boys," Michael gasped. "What shall we do?" But the pirates didn't realize that very close behind there stalked some Neverlanders with adventure on their minds, and with them Princess Tiger Lily reading from her book, and after her a crocodile was stalking Captain Hook. So round and round the island, in a never-ending loop, crept Neverlanders' lost boys and their wicked pirate troop. Till Slightly heard the pirate song, and much to Hook's dismay, the lost boys scattered through the trees and swiftly ran away. They scuttled to their secret den, deep down beneath a tree. The captain pulled his bosun close, a snivelling wretch called Smee. "Go find that scoundrel Peter Pan. I mean to do him harm." For once in battle, Peter Pan had chopped off Hook's left arm. He fed it to a crocodile. He did it out of spite. That crocodile's still after me. It wants another bite. Its stomach makes a tickling sound. It ate my bedside clock. Oh, help! I hear it coming now. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. When it was safe, the boys emerged and spied a great white bird. Its plaintive cry was quite the saddest thing you'd ever heard. But Tinker Bell buzzed round them. "It's a Wendy bird," she cried, "and Peter says to shoot it." How that wicked fairy lied! So Tootles fired an arrow from his little wooden bow. It struck poor Wendy in the chest. It was a dreadful blow. When Peter swooped down to his friends, poor Slightly bowed his head. "She could have been our mother. Now we've killed her," Slightly said. But Nibs saw Wendy's hand move. "Look, the Wendy has survived. The arrow hit that button." "My kiss saved her," Peter cried. They built a shelter round her, each boy quiet as a mouse. A home to keep her safe and warm, a little Wendy house. Soon Wendy had recovered and became the lost boy's mother. "I'll be the dad," said Peter. "John and Michael, you're the brothers." Then Wendy gave them chores to do and cooked a lovely meal. The food was mostly make-believe, though some of it was real. And so began a happy time of frolics, games, and fun. They fought the Neverlanders. No one cared who lost or won. At night time Wendy read aloud, then tucked the boys in bed. She sang them lovely lullabies and kissed each sleepy head. The very best adventure happened late one sunny day. They went down to Marooner's Rock to watch the mermaids play. "The pirates leave their victims here, and when the tide comes in, they meet a horrid watery death," said Peter with a grin. "Until you've met a mermaid, you might think them kind and sweet. Their hair is green as seaweed. They have flickering fins for feet." But when they spotted Wendy sitting watching them at play, they hissed and splashed their scaly tails and quickly slipped away. With mermaids gone, the sea grew still. The boys lay on their backs. The sky above them darkened, and the green lagoon turned black. "There's danger coming," Peter hissed. He grinned from ear to ear. "Quick, everybody, dive," he crowed. "There's pirates drawing near." The mist was parted by a boat rowed fast by Bosun Smee. His shipmate Starkey squinted. "It's too dark, my eyes can't see." Crunch! They hit Marooner's Rock. "Oh, fiddlesticks!" Smee frowned. "Let's leave the captive here, and by the morning she'll be drowned." "They've captured Princess Tiger Lily," Wendy gasped. "Oh, look!" But Peter grinned. "I'll save her. I'll pretend I'm Captain Hook." He shouted, "Let the princess go! Hey, do it now, I say, or I'll make sure you do not live to see another day." "What? Free her? Are you sure?" said Smee. Hook's voice called, "Yes, that's right." Smee cut the ropes, and Tiger Lily slipped into the night. But danger follows danger, and when Wendy turned to look, rising from the shadows was the real Captain Hook. The captain climbed aboard Smee's boat. "Some dreadful news," Hook sighed. "The boys have found a mother." "Have they really?" Smee replied. "We'll steal this mother for ourselves. We'll kidnap it," Smee beamed. A princely scheme, sneered Captain Hook. No, never, Wendy screamed. Who's out there? Captain Hook called, but the lake was still and calm. And where's our little prisoner? His good hand gripped Smee's arm. We let her go, just like you said. You idiots, growled Hook. That wasn't me, you nincompoops. Now, let me take a look. Dame Hook's my name, crowed Peter. That's impossible, Hook cried. And you're just a codfish, Naughty Peter replied. But soon Hook guessed. You are Peter Pan. I know that voice all right. Attack! Attack! Cried Peter. Then began a dreadful fight. John battled hard with Starkey, but he leapt out of the boat. Old Smee jabbed at Tootles, slightly went for Starkey's throat. Brave Peter was quite fearless, and he fought Hook on the rock, till Hook took fright and bolted when he heard a loud tick-tock. Poor Peter Pan and Wendy lay exhausted side by side. Marooners Rock was shrinking with a swiftly rising tide. We have to go, said Wendy. Shall we fly away or swim? But Peter Pan was wounded. Captain Hook had bitten him. I'm sorry, Wendy, Peter groaned. I simply cannot fly. Look, there's a kite. Quick, grab its tail. Good luck, my friend. Goodbye. No, no, cried Wendy, panicking. Come with me, please, she screamed. To die will be an awfully big adventure, Peter beamed. So bravely Peter faced his death as Wendy disappeared. But when the rock was nearly gone, another bird appeared. Please take my nest and sail it home, she clucked. Then you'll be free. He reached the den triumphant and was just in time for tea. The Neverlanders cheered, Hooray! Our tiger Lily's back. Now we must guard the lost boy's den. The pirates might attack. Then Wendy hugged her children close, and taking Tootle's hand, she told their favorite tale about her flight to Neverland. We used to live in London town a long, long time ago. We had some darling parents. Oh, we know they miss us so. But one day we'll fly home again. We've been away for years, and when our mother sees us, she'll cry happy mother's tears. You're wrong, said Peter sulkily. That's not what mothers do. They all forget their children, and they bar the windows too. Oh, Wendy, John and Michael cried. Let's go home right away. We must, said Wendy. Pack your things. We really cannot stay. The boys wailed, Wendy, take ours too. Of course, she said. Let's go. Come, Peter, you must lead the way. But Peter Pan said no. Who wants a silly mother? Peter scowled. He would not cry. Be sure to take your medicine, poor Wendy sobbed. Goodbye. Go with them, Tink, said Peter. Tink flew crossly from her nook, when suddenly there came a screech, and Peter whispered, Hook! He's got the Neverlanders, and he's brought his pirate gang. The children froze in terror as a furious fight began. The pirate crew fought dirty. The children's friends fought fair. The clang and clash of gleaming swords sent sparks into the air. till finally the woods fell still. The lost boys heard a drum. "The Neverlanders' signal," Peter cheered. "That means we've won." The children said their last goodbyes, but when they left the den, they found no Neverlanders, only Hook with all his men. "You played the big drum, didn't you?" Nibs shouted in dismay. The crew tied up the children and they bundled them away. Then, while the moon gleamed silver bright and distant she-wolves howled, James Hook paced round the clearing. "Where's that Peter Pan?" he scowled. His wicked blue eyes twinkled. Then he dropped down on one knee. "Aha!" he grinned. "A tunnel hidden in this hollow tree." The captain spotted Peter softly snoring in the bed. His black heart swelled a little, and he bowed his grizzled head. But then he pushed his feelings down. His heart filled up with spite. "I swear I shall get even with that cheeky imp tonight." Hook spotted Peter's medicine, and with an evil grin, he fished some poison from his boot and plopped a few drops in. He rubbed his hands together. "That will finish him for sure." Hook wrapped his cloak around himself and vanished through the door. The sleeping boy was tired out. He snored on, unaware, till someone pinched his elbow. Peter leaped up. "Ouch! Who's there?" "It's me," gasped tiny Tinker Bell. She fluttered round his bed. "The boys have all been kidnapped. Oh, and Wendy too," she said. "I'll rescue them," cheered Peter. "What a hero I shall be! But first I'll take my medicine, so Wendy's pleased with me." "No, don't," cried Tink. "It's poisonous." But Peter wouldn't stop. Tink grabbed the little cup and drank up every deadly drop. "My light, it's going out," gasped Tink. "Oh, Peter, it's the end." "You mustn't die," sobbed Peter. "Hold on tight, my own dear friend," she said. "If children still believe in fairies like you do, it might give me the courage and the strength to battle through." Then Peter spread his arms out wide and shouted to the sky, "Please clap your hands if you believe. We mustn't let Tink die." His voice slipped into children's dreams in near and distant lands, and Tinker Bell was cured by 20,000 clapping hands. And now to rescue Wendy. But oh, which way did they go? Poor Tinker Bell just shook her head. "I'm sorry, I don't know." "I'll track them down," grinned Peter. He was happy as can be. "This battle will be glorious. This time it's Hook or me." Meanwhile, the Jolly Roger drifted slowly on the tide. "I should be celebrating, but I'm feeling glum," Hook sighed. "Oh, why don't children love me? It's not right. It isn't fair." "I'll make them walk the plank," he snarled. "I'll show them I don't care." "Right, time to feed the sharks," grinned Hook. "Come quickly, don't be shy. We'll have the mother first, I think. Now, Wendy, say goodbye." "You wouldn't dare," snapped Wendy. Hook recoiled in fear and shock. Was he afraid of Wendy? No. He'd heard a loud tick-tock. "The crocodile is coming! Hide me quick!" the captain cried. The lost boys crept across the ship and peeped over the side. But it was not the crocodile that climbed from run to run. No, Peter Pan was coming, tick-tock ticking with his tongue. He signaled to the lost boys not to cheer or clap or shout. He tiptoed to the cabin and blew all the lanterns out. When all was quiet, Hook emerged and dusted off his cloak. "The crocodile has gone. Now back to work. This is no joke." "There's something in the cabin," Pirate Jacko cried in fear. "Well, go and get it," Hook replied, but Jacko disappeared. The pirates went in, one by one, to fight the hidden foe, but each one screamed, then tumbled splosh down to the waves below. "I'm running out of men," wailed Hook. "You prisoners must fight. The cabin beast will eat us," they cried, hiding their delight. With half the pirates missing, Peter rescued all the boys. He tossed them swords and cutlasses, then winked, "Don't make a noise." Then Peter skipped across the deck and set brave Wendy free. He told her of the vow he'd made, "This time it's Hook or me." The boys swarmed from the cabin, slightly gave the battle cry. They set upon the pirate crew, "Prepare to fight or die." The fight was fierce. A storm blew up, loud thunder boomed and crashed. Sharp cutlass clashed with cutlass, bolts of lightning forked and flashed. The children battled bravely. "Help! Abandon ship!" wailed Smee. Then all the frightened pirates ran and jumped into the sea. Appearing from behind some rope, Hook rose to his full height. "Good evening, sir," smirked Peter. "Are you ready for a fight?" Hook growled and lunged at Peter Pan, but Peter didn't mind. He dodged around the pirate chief and poked him from behind. "Not fair!" cried Hook. "Stand still, I say!" But Peter grabbed his hat and flew up to the crow's nest. Hook climbed after. "Give me that!" But as he scaled the rigging, Peter fluttered round his head. "You're making me feel dizzy. Oh, stop teasing me," Hook said. But when he slipped and dropped his sword, Hook knew it was the end. He bowed low, then prepared to dive. "I will be back, my friend." Too late. Hook saw the crocodile that circled round the ship. His final words were silenced by a greedy snap, snap, snap. "Now I'm the captain," Peter said, when they awoke next day. They all dressed up as pirates and the children cheered, "Hooray!" "Let's set a course for London town," the darlings cried as one. They sailed the Jolly Roger home towards the rising sun. "Will Mother still remember us?" John asked one moonlit night. "Of course she will," smiled Wendy, really hoping she was right. While far away in London, Mrs. Darling sat alone, still waiting by the window for her children to come home. The friends sailed on for weeks and weeks, through storms and tidal waves. They swam with pods of dolphins. They dived deep through dark sea caves. And when at last they came ashore, quick Peter flew ahead. "I'll check the windows open, and your mother's there," he said. But secretly he planned to lock the bedroom window tight. "I won't give Wendy up," he thought. "No, not without a fight. When Wendy finds the window locked, we'll fly back home together and live once more in Neverland, young, wild, and free forever." But seeing Mrs. Darling there, so tired, ill, and sad, stirred memories for Peter of the mother he'd once had. He quickly shot the thought away and found a place to hide. Let Wendy have her mother. I don't care at all, he sighed. So when the three young darlings landed back inside their room, poor Peter Pan was watching from the deepening evening gloom. Oh, I know, giggled Wendy. Let's all play a funny trick. Pretend we've never been away. Climb into bed, be quick. When Mrs. Darling tiptoed in, imagine her surprise. My children, is that you? She cried. I can't believe my eyes. It's us. We're real, the children laughed. They leapt out of their beds. Their mother cried, I've missed you, as she kissed their darling heads. Their parents met the lost boys, and they loved them right away. Their mother was delighted to have 6 more boys to stay. When he was tired of watching, Peter came to say goodbye. Oh, won't you stay? Begged Wendy. Please. But Peter scowled back. Why? So you can make me go to school and make me grow up too. Of course, dear, Mrs. Darling laughed. What else do small boys do? No, thanks, scowled naughty Peter. Wendy took her mother's hand. But mother, he'll be lonely by himself in Neverland. Then clever Mrs. Darling had a wonderful idea. Why don't you go and visit him in springtime every year? That's settled then, grinned Peter. Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, John. Please don't forget me, Wendy called. Then Peter Pan was gone. And so this story has to end. We too must say goodbye. But if one night you come across a small boy who can fly, please ask him what his name is, just before you take his hand. Or Peter Pan might whisk you off away to Neverland.